Today I will share with you some life-changing philosophy. Before we start, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Also, comment where are you watching from and at what time you are watching. Have a nice sleep. Every single day we are presented with countless opportunities to shape our future. Yet, it's the unseen missteps that often have the longest shadows. In the spirit of Stoic philosophy, we know that wisdom isn't just about pursuing the right actions, but also about steering clear of the wrong ones. Today, we're going to explore 10 critical mistakes that can keep you from living the enlightened, purposeful life that Stoicism teaches us to aspire toward. If you appreciate diving deep into these transformative insights, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps us continue to bring valuable lessons like these directly to you. Also, make sure to watch through to the end of this video because each point we discuss builds on the previous one, painting a full picture of how you can avoid these life-altering pitfalls. Let's get started and navigate these waters together, learning how to avoid common mistakes with the guidance of ancient wisdom. So often we walk through life with a silent companion named doubt. It whispers in our ears, questioning if we really deserve the dreams we yearn to reach, the happiness we seek, or even the respect we crave from others. It's a trap, one that not only diminishes our self-esteem, but directly conflicts with the empowering teachings of Stoicism. Philosophized implore us to recognize and assert our inherent value, urging us to embrace the notion that we are deserving of the good that comes our way, contrary to what our doubts might suggest. I remember sitting across from my mentor years ago in a coffee shop that buzzed with the quiet hume of mid-morning chatter. He noticed the way my eyes dodged his when I talked about my ambition. "Why do you sell yourself short?" he asked. It took me a moment to formulate an answer because, honestly, I hadn't realized I was doing it. But in that question lay a pivotal Stoic lesson. If you don't know your worth, you will always accept less than you deserve, and often less than you are capable of achieving. Think about it. How many times have you settled for something less than what you truly deserved? Maybe you thought it was all you could get, or perhaps you believed that aiming high was unrealistic. Here's where Stoicism steps in, clearing the fog made by our insecurities. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." It's a call to internalize your true worth and to act in accordance with it. This doesn't mean arrogance or entitlement, but recognizing that settling for less is an injustice to the capabilities you inherently possess. Reflect on this for a moment. Every time you set the bar low, you're not only robbing yourself of a potential victory, but also denying the world the chance to witness your full potential. It's about time we break this cycle. Embrace your worth, demand what you deserve, and watch as doors begin to open, not just because you're knocking louder, but because you've finally chosen to believe in the power of your own knock. Fear, that old familiar shadow lurking in every decision, every leap towards something new or unknown. It's a powerful force, one that too often dictates our actions and leads us away from the very experiences that could foster our growth. Stoicism, with its profound wisdom, offers a different path, one where fear is observed, understood, and ultimately mastered. I can still vividly recall standing at the edge of what would be my first major public speaking event. The audience was a blur, the lights a harsh glare on the podium where I was to stand. My heart raced, not with excitement, but with the terror of potential humiliation. What if I fail? What if my voice cracks? What if my mind goes blank? These fears were almost enough to make me turn and flee. But then, a line from Seneca came to me, almost as if whispered in my ear. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That was the moment of clarity. I realized that the fear was a natural reaction, but also a deceptive guide. It was trying to protect me from a perceived threat, not a real one. Embracing this Stoic insight, I stepped up, spoke out, and despite the butterflies, found my rhythm in my voice. The fear didn't vanish, but it lost its grip over my actions. I learned that day that facing fear, acknowledging it yet choosing to move forward in spite of it, transforms potential energy into kinetic, propelling us forward. This isn't just about speaking in public. It's about all those moments when fear whispers that you can't, or you shouldn't, or it's not worth the risk. Whether it's changing careers, ending a toxic relationship, or taking a chance on a new venture, fear often paints a picture of the worst-case scenario. Remember, he who fears death will never do anything worth living for, as Seneca so aptly put it. So how do we apply this Stoic practice to our everyday lives? It starts with recognizing that fear is but a perception, not a reality. It's about questioning the validity of what fear tells us. By confronting these fears with logic and reason, we begin to dismantle their power over us. We can then make decisions not out of fear, but out of courage and wisdom. There's a subtle thief among us, one that robs us of our contentment and destroys our sense of self-worth. The habit of constant comparison. It's like walking through life with a mirror held up to everyone else, only to use their reflections to judge our own image. But what we often forget is that these comparisons can never be fair or complete, as we are only seeing a fraction of someone else's story. I recall a time when I found myself scrolling endlessly through social media feeds, ying the achievements of my peers with a growing sense of inadequacy. Look how much more successful they are, I'd think. My own accomplishments shrinking in the shadow of others' curated headlines. It was a relentless cycle of measure and despair, until I turned to the teachings of Stoicism for solace. Marcus Aurelius, a beacon of wisdom, reminded me, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This profound realization shifted my perspective. Why should the success of others be the yardstick by which I measure my own worth? Stoicism teaches us to focus inward, to cultivate our virtues, and to control our reactions to external circumstances. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you kinder, more disciplined, more forgiving? These are the comprehensive truths that truly matter, the ones that spur personal growth and general happiness. Let's break away from this cycle of comparison by fostering a mindset of self-improvement rather than competitive. Each of us is on a unique journey, equipped with different strengths and facing different challenges. When we shift our focus from competing with others to surpassing our own previous limitations, life becomes a more rewarding race against ourselves, not against others. In the relentless pursuit of our dreams and duties, it's shockingly easy to let the most critical aspect of our existence slip through the cracks: our health. We often act as if our bodies and minds are inexhaustible resources, pushing them to the brink without a second thought. But this oversight can have direct consequences, not just physically, but on every facet of our lives. I once met a man, a high-functioning executive with ambitions that stretched to the sky. His schedule was packed from dawn till dusk, chasing deal after deal, success upon success. Yet one day, amidst a crucial meeting, his body halted to a stop, a severe heart attack. That was a harsh wake-up call. Lying in his hospital bed, he shared with me his regret. I spent so much time accumulating wealth that I forgot the health to enjoy it. His story isn't unique, but it's a potent reminder of a simple yet neglected truth. Without health, nothing else matters. Stoicism teaches us about moderation and self-control, and it's a philosophy that places great emphasis on physical endurance and mental resilience. Heather, it also stresses the importance of taking care of ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about self-care as a duty, not only to ourselves, but to society. He believed that maintaining one's health is essential to performing one's duties. Neglecting your health in the quest for success is like building a house on a shaky foundation. It doesn't matter how beautifully it's designed or how robustly it's structured. it will eventually crumble. Therefore, it's vital to maintain the equilibrium between striving for your goals and keeping your health in check. Eat well, sleep enough, exercise regularly, and don't forget to mentally decompress. Remember, your body and mind are not separate from your aspirations. They are the very vehicles that will carry you there. Carrying the weight of past hurts is like ledging around a backpack filled with stones. It's heavy, it slows us down, and it serves no purpose on our journey forward. We've all been there, clutching onto grievances and wrongs that have been done to us, often feeling justified in our resentment. But what are we truly holding on to? A moment that's long past and a pain that only poisons our present. I once knew someone who seemed to carry the world on his shoulders. He was a close friend who had been wronged in a business deal many years ago. The betrayal consumed him. It tainted every new relationship and opportunity with suspicion and bitterness. One evening, as we talked under the starlit sky, I reminded him of a powerful Stoic principle shared by Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. I watched the realization dawn on him that his holding on to this grudge didn't punish those who wronged him, but imprisoned him instead. Letting go of grudges doesn't mean forgetting the hurt or excusing those who caused it. Rather, it's about cleaning our hearts of the bitterness that dims our light and dampens our spirit. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, a release from the past's hold, enabling you to move forward with a lighter, freer heart. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about managing them constructively, recognizing that our inner peace is far more valuable than clinging to past grievances. Think about the energy and peace we could reclaim if we chose to let go of old wounds and forgive, not for the sake of those who have wronged us, but for our well-being. It's not a simple task, nor is it one that we master overnight, but it's a vital step toward reclaiming our happiness and our lives. In the grand theater of life, we often play many roles: friend, colleague, leader, caregiver. Yet one crucial role we tend to overlook is being the architect of our own development. Investing in yourself is not a luxury. It is an essential practice for anyone who aspires to live not just an ordinary life, but an extraordinary one. Yet so many of us hesitate, bogged down by daily demands, forgetting that to pour into others effectively we must first fill ourselves. I remember meeting a woman at a conference, a seasoned professional, admired by her peers for her skills and dedication. Heavily, in a quieter moment, she confided in me her sense of stagnation, feeling as if the world was speeding by while she stood still. When was the last time you learned something new just for yourself? I asked her. Her pause spoke volumes. It had been years since she invested in learning new skills or broadening her knowledge. Inspired by Seneca's "Remember that as long as you live, keep learning how to live," she decided to make a change. She enrolled in a course that reignited her passion for her field and opened new doors for growth and opportunities. Investing in yourself is a broad and powerful endeavor. It goes beyond academic learning. It involves nourishing your mind, body, and spirit. It means stepping out of your comfort zone, challenging your preconceptions, and embracing lifelong learning. Whether it's picking up a new book, exploring a hobby, or taking a course, each act of investment translates into deeper self-respect, self-awareness, and enriched character. Take a moment to consider, when you neglect your personal growth, you are not just stalling your career or personal aspirations, you are denying yourself the fulfillment of your highest potential. Investing in yourself is also a profound declaration of your worth. It says to the world, and more importantly, to yourself, that you value your life's journey and your capacity to influence it. So let this be a call to action. Reflect on the areas of your life where you've perhaps allowed complacency to settle in. What could you learn? What skill could you master? How could you grow? The answers to these questions are the keys to not just advancing your career or personal life, but to cultivating a rich inner world. There is a simple truth about life that many learn too late. The people around you shape you more than you realize. The play you keep influences your thoughts, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. Stoicism teaches us that we must be vigilant about who we allow into our inner circle, for the energy of those we surround ourselves with will inevitably seep into our own lives. Yet, too often we cling to relationships that drain us, friendships that keep us stagnant, and social circles that push us away from the person we aspire to be. I remember a close friend from years ago, ambitious, talented, full of potential, but his downfall wasn't his lack of discipline or intelligence. It was the people he surrounded himself with. He spent his days with individuals who mocked ambition, who saw effort as unnecessary, and who lived as though every day was meant for indulgence and nothing else. Slowly, without realizing it, he began to mirror their mindset. His dreams took a back seat. His goals became distant fantasies, and before he knew it, years had passed and he was still in the same place, wondering why he hadn't moved forward. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. It is not an act of cruelty to distance yourself from those who pull you down. It is an act of self-preservation. If the people around you are not lifting you up, they are holding you back. And the hard truth is, you cannot grow in an environment that constantly keeps you small." Take a moment and ask yourself, who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they pushing you to be better, to be wiser, to be more disciplined? Or do they encourage distractions, negativity, and complacency? Your environment is one of the biggest predictors of your future. If you spend your time with people who complain, you will find yourself. If you surround yourself with people who settle for mediocrity, you will start to believe that mediocrity is all you should expect. This is not about cutting people off without compassion. It's about making a choice to protect your own growth. Some relationships naturally fade, while others need to be intentionally refined. The key is recognizing when a connection is doing more harm than good. Stoicism teaches us that external circumstances, including other people, are not fully within our control, but who we choose to engage with, that is entirely up to us. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, who encourage you to think deeply, and who hold you accountable to your highest standards. Seek out people who embody the virtues you want to cultivate: discipline, wisdom, resilience. And when you find these individuals, hold on to them, because they will become the foundation of the life you are trying to build. There is a silent thief that robs more people of their dreams than failure ever could: procrastination. It's deceptive because it never tells you no. Instead, it whispers, "Not today." It convinces you that tomorrow is a better time, that you'll start when things are perfect, that one more delay won't make a difference. And then one day you wake up and realize that years have passed, and those dreams you once felt burning inside you have turned to distant regrets. I once spoke to a man who had spent decades dreaming of writing a book. He would talk about it passionately, mapping out ideas, collecting notes, even telling friends that one day he would finally sit down and make it happen. But he was always waiting for the right moment, for more free time, for some external sign that it was time to begin. One evening over coffee, he sighed and said, "I wish I had started 10 years ago." And that's when it hit me. He had wasted more time thinking about his dream than it would have taken to actually make it a reality. Procrastination is the enemy of progress. Marcus Aurelius himself warned against delaying action, saying, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." The Stoicist understood that time is the one thing we can never get back, and yet it's the very thing so many of us waste the most. We act as if we are guaranteed a later date, as if life will wait for us to be ready, but life moves forward, with or without us. So ask yourself this: what have you been putting off? Is it that book you've been meaning to write? That business idea you've been too afraid to start? The healthy habits you keep telling yourself you'll adopt next week? Whatever it is, recognize that waiting is costing you far more than effort ever will. The perfect moment you're waiting for, it doesn't exist. There will always be excuses, distractions, reasons to delay. But the only way to make progress is to take action. Imperfect, messy, uncomfortable action. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll grow, learn, and improve. Every great achievement began as a first, unpolished attempt. Every master was once a beginner. Every success story started with someone who refused to wait any longer. Perfection is a marriage. It shimmers in the distance, promising greatness, yet every time you think you're close enough to reach out and grasp it, it moves further away. How many people have wasted years, even lifetimes, chasing something that doesn't exist? They tell themselves they'll start when everything is just right, when every detail is failure. And so, they wait, and life passes them by. I once knew a musician incredibly talented, someone who could move people with just a few notes on a guitar. He had dreams of recording his own album, sharing his music with the world, but every time he got close, he'd find something to fix. The lyrics weren't quite perfect, the sound wasn't exactly how he envisioned it, the timing wasn't exactly how he envisioned it, but he never released a single song. His obsession with perfection kept him locked in place, never allowing him to share his gift with the world. Stoicism warns against this trap. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. In other words, stop waiting for the perfect conditions and just start. The Stoics understood that progress matters far more than perfection because perfection is an illusion, unattainable standard that will only hold you back. Think about how much you've delayed because of this illusion. Have you ever stopped yourself from trying something new because you weren't sure you'd be good enough? Have you hesitated to put your work out there because you feared criticism? Have you kept refining, reworking, and second-guessing to the point that your ideas never see the light of day? If so, you are not alone. The fear of imperfection keeps countless people from ever stepping forward. But here's the truth. Nothing will ever be perfect. No speech will ever be written without flaws. No business will launch without obstacles. No book will ever be free of edits. And yet, the ones who succeed are the ones who begin anyway. They take imperfect action. They make mistakes. They refine as they go. The greatest achievers in history did not wait for perfection. They built, they adjusted, they improved over time. So, stop chasing something that doesn't exist. Instead, chase progress. Do the work, put it out into the world, and let yourself learn through experience. The first version of anything will never be your best, but if you don't start, you'll never get to the version that could be. Time is the one thing we can never get back. And yet, how often do we find ourselves lost in thoughts of the past, dwelling on regrets, or anxiously trying to predict a future that hasn't even arrived? We chase goals, plan endlessly, and worry about what's next, so much so that we forget to live in the only place that truly can exist, the present moment. I once met a man who had spent his entire life planning for the future. He worked tirelessly, saving money, delaying vacations, postponing passions, telling himself that one day he would finally live the life he wanted. But when that one day arrived, he realized something devastating. He had spent so much time preparing for life that he had forgotten to actually live it. The years had slipped through his fingers, and all that was left were memories of days spent waiting for something better. The Stoics understood this mistake completely. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations reminds us, do not dwell on the past, do not dream of the future, but concentrate the mind on the present moment. The past is unchangeable, the future uncertain. So why do we waste so much energy living anywhere but here? Life isn't something that will happen later. It's happening now. Think about it. How many moments have you rushed through just to get to the next thing? How often have you been so fused on your next goal, your next milestone, your next achievement that you failed to appreciate what's right in front of you? How many times have you been with loved ones physically present but mentally elsewhere, caught up in worries or distractions? We convince ourselves that happiness is somewhere in the distance, just beyond the next success, the next relationship, the next accomplishment. But when we get there, the finish line moves. We tell ourselves that we'll slow down once things settle, that we will enjoy life once we've figured it all out. But life doesn't wait. The present moment is all we are ever truly given. So how do we stop, lost sight of it? By practicing awareness, by reminding ourselves daily that this moment is the only one that truly belongs to us, by training our minds, as the Stoics did, to let go of what we cannot control, the past and the future, and instead fully engage with what is happening now. Life will test you. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and moments where you feel like everything is against you. That's a guarantee. But here's the real question. How do you respond? Do you let life break you, or do you use those challenges to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient? Mentally strong people don't crumble under pressure. They don't allow fear, doubt, or negativity to control them. Instead, they build a mindset that allows them to face anything with clarity, confidence, and inner peace. This isn't about pretending life is easy. It's about mastering yourself so that no matter what happens, you remain unshaken. The ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote to himself every day, reminding himself that life is unpredictable, that hardships are inevitable, but that his response was always within his control. He knew that true strength doesn't come from avoiding difficulties, but from training your mind to rise above them. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The 6 habits that separate the mentally strong from everyone else. These aren't just theories. They're practical, battle-tested principles that you can start applying today to build an unshakable mindset. So stay with me until the very end, because every single point we're about to discuss is crucial. Don't skip around or you'll miss the key that could change everything for you. And if you appreciate what we're doing here, there's one simple free favor I'll ask. Hit that subscribe button. It takes a second, but it makes a huge difference in helping us keep bringing you valuable content. Now, let's dive in. Nothing in life stays the same. The seasons change, people come and go, and the world keeps moving, whether we're ready for it or not. Yet so many of us resist change as if clinging to what's familiar will somehow stop the inevitable. But let me ask you this. Has holding on ever made life easier, or has it only made transitions more painful? We fear change because it forces us out of our comfort zones. It disrupts our routines, shakes our sense of control, and makes us question where we're headed. But here's the truth. Change is not the enemy. The real danger lies in resisting it, because the more you fight against reality, the more suffering you create for yourself. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They didn't waste energy wishing things were different. Instead, they trained themselves to adapt, to see every shift in life as an opportunity rather than a threat. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, ruled an empire during war, plague, and betrayal. He could have spent his days complaining, asking, "Why is this happening to me?" But instead, he reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the very obstacles we fear are often the path forward. If we learn to work with change instead of against it, we become stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever life throws at us. Think about it. When has something unexpected forced you to grow? Maybe it was losing a job, ending a relationship, or moving to a new place. At first, it probably felt overwhelming, even painful, but looking back, didn't it also shape you into who you are today? The problem is, we only see the wisdom in change after we've survived it. But what if we could shift our mindset while we're going through it? What if, instead of resisting, we asked ourselves, what is this teaching me? How can I use this to my advantage? The Stoics had a saying, amor fati, which means love your fate. Not just accept it, not just tolerate it, love it. Love the challenges, love the unexpected detours, love the things that push you to grow, even when they don't feel good in the moment. Because every change, no matter how difficult, is shaping you into someone stronger. And here's the key, mentally strong people lean into discomfort. They don't wait for perfect conditions to take action. They don't waste energy wishing things would go back to the way they were. They adapt. They adjust their sails to the winds of change instead of fighting the current, and in doing so, they remain steady no matter how stormy life gets. So, the next time change comes knocking, and it will, pause for a moment. Instead of reacting with fear, ask yourself, how can I use this? Because when you stop resisting change, you start mastering it. And that's the mindset that will carry you through anything. You've probably had moments where your emotions got the best of you, where anger led to an argument you later regretted, or fear held you back from taking an opportunity that could have changed your life. We've all been there. Emotions are powerful, and when left unchecked, they can control our actions, dictate our decisions, and even shape the course of our lives. But here's the thing. Mentally strong people don't let their emotions control them. They control their emotions. Now, that doesn't mean they suppress what they feel. Stoicism isn't about becoming an emotionless robot. It's about mastering your reactions. The Stoics understood that emotions in themselves aren't the problem. It's our response to them that determines whether they serve us or destroy us. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about the last time someone said something that irritated you. Maybe a rude comment, an unfair criticism, or even just someone cutting you off in traffic. What was your first instinct? To react immediately? To lash out? That's what most people do. But what if instead you paused for a second and asked yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter tomorrow? That small pause, that moment of awareness, is the difference between being ruled by your emotions and mastering them. Seneca, another great Stoic, advised that when anger rises, don't act on it right away. Give it time to settle. Because in the heat of the moment, we often make choices that we later regret. And isn't that true? How many times have we said or done something in an emotional state, only to look back and wish we had handled it differently? The truth is, emotions are like the weather, unpredictable, constantly changing, and often beyond our control. But just like a sailor doesn't try to control the wind, we shouldn't try to suppress our emotions. Instead, we should learn to navigate them. A skilled sailor adjusts their sails, knowing that the storm will pass. And in the same way, mentally strong people acknowledge their emotions, but refuse to let them steer the ship. Now, does this mean we should ignore how we feel? Not at all. The Stoics weren't about denying emotions, but rather understanding them. When fear shows up, ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? When sadness appears, ask, what lesson is hidden here? Emotions can be teachers if we learn to listen without letting them take over. And here's where it gets really powerful. Once you realize that you decide how to respond, nothing can shake you. Insults lose their sting. Failures become stepping stones. Unexpected events no longer throw you off balance because you understand that your power lies in your reaction, not in the event itself. So the next time you feel anger, fear, or frustration rising, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that you are in control. Your emotions do not define you. Your actions do. And the stronger your ability to manage your emotions, the stronger you become in every aspect of life. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources, yet they're also the easiest to give away. Every day, people pull you in different directions. Work demands your attention. Friends ask for favors. Family needs your support. And social media constantly fights for a piece of your mind. Before you know it, you're exhausted, stretched thin, and left with nothing for yourself. But here's the truth. Mentally strong people don't let the world dictate where their energy goes. They set boundaries and protect their space like their life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that our most precious asset isn't money or possessions. It's our inner peace. And yet, most of us give it away without thinking twice. Seneca warned against this when he said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Think about that for a moment. If someone tried to take money from your pocket, you'd resist. But when people take your time, your most irreplaceable asset, you give it away freely. Why? Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's fear of disappointing others, maybe it's the habit of always putting others first. But here's the thing, saying yes to everyone else all the time means saying no to yourself. And mentally strong people don't do that. They understand that without clear boundaries, they'll never have the time or energy to focus on what truly matters, whether that's their goals, their health, or their peace of mind. So, how do you start setting boundaries? First, recognize that it's not selfish, it's necessary. Saying no to something that drains you doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value yourself enough to protect your well-being. You wouldn't let someone walk into your home and trash the place, so why let people invade your mental space with negativity, unnecessary obligations, or constant distractions? One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they push people away. But in reality, the right people respect boundaries. The ones who don't, they were never meant to have full access to you in the first place. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, the people and energy you allow into your life shape who you become. If you surround yourself with constant stress, drama, and obligations that don't serve you, don't be surprised if you feel drained, anxious, or lost. Now let's talk about practical ways to set boundaries. First, identify what truly matters to you. What are your priorities? What fuels your energy instead of depleting it? Once you're clear on that, it becomes easier to say no to everything that doesn't align with those values. Next, practice the art of saying no without over-explaining. You don't owe anyone a detailed justification for protecting your time. A simple, "I can't commit to that right now" is enough. And most importantly, don't feel guilty. Protecting your energy isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-respect. If you don't prioritize yourself, no one else will do it for you. At the end of the day, setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about making sure you have enough energy for what truly matters. When you stop saying yes to every demand and start saying yes to yourself, you'll notice something incredible. You feel lighter, more focused, and in control of your life. And that, my friend, is the foundation of true mental strength. Life doesn't always go the way we want. We face setbacks, make mistakes, and sometimes find ourselves in situations that feel unfair. It's easy to blame circumstances, point fingers, or tell ourselves that we're just unlucky. But here's the hard truth. Mentally strong people don't waste time making excuses. They take full responsibility for their actions, their choices, and ultimately their lives. The Stoics believed that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. Epictetus put it best when he said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That's what real strength looks like. Owning your decisions, learning from your mistakes, and refusing to see yourself as a victim of life's circumstance. Think about the most successful, resilient people you know. Do they sit around complaining about how unfair life is, or do they take action, adjust, and find a way forward? The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck isn't intelligence, talent, or luck, it's responsibility. When you own your actions, you take back your power. When you blame others, you give that power away. Now, taking responsibility doesn't mean being overly critical of yourself or beating yourself up for past mistakes. That's not the point. The goal isn't to drown in guilt, it's to learn and improve. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, believed that every failure was an opportunity for self-reflection. He advised that at the end of each day we should review our actions and ask, what did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I improve tomorrow? That's how you grow, not by avoiding mistakes, but by using them as stepping stones. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Think of a challenge you're facing right now. Maybe it's a financial issue, a relationship struggle, or a personal goal you haven't achieved yet. Instead of blaming external factors, ask yourself, what part of this is within my control? What actions can I take to improve this situation? It's a shift in mindset that changes everything. The truth is, life will throw obstacles your way. You'll face difficult people, unexpected problems, and moments where things feel unfair. But the strongest people, The ones who truly thrive are the ones who don't waste energy complaining. They adapt. They take ownership. They look at every setback as a lesson, not a punishment. So the next time you catch yourself making an excuse, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me or is it holding me back? Because at the end of the day, no one else is responsible for your success, your happiness, or your growth. That's on you. And once you fully embrace that truth, you become unstoppable. We are often our own worst critics. When we make a mistake, fall short of our goals, or struggle with something, the voice inside our head can be ruthless. Why did I mess up again? I should be doing better. I'll never get this right. If someone spoke to us the way we sometimes speak to ourselves, we wouldn't tolerate it. Yet, for some reason we allow that harsh inner dialogue to run unchecked. But here's the truth. Mentally strong people don't tear themselves down. They practice self-compassion, not self-criticism. The Stoics had a deep understanding of human imperfection. They didn't expect themselves or anyone else to be flawless. Instead, they focused on progress, on learning, on growing, on improving. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations reminded himself, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." That's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes, the Stoics encourage people to wake up each day with a renewed sense of purpose and self-acceptance. Think about this. When a friend makes a mistake, what do you say? You probably encourage them, remind them that they are human, and tell them to learn from it and move forward. Now, why don't we do the same for ourselves? Why do we hold ourselves to impossible standards, expecting perfection while accepting the flaws of others? Self-compassion isn't about making excuses. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend. Let's be real. You will make mistakes. You will have days where you feel like you're failing, where nothing seems to go right. But beating yourself up over it doesn't make you better. It makes you hesitant, fearful, and doubtful of your own abilities. The Stoics believed that the mind is like a garden. What you plant is what grows. If you constantly feed it negative thoughts, don't be surprised when self-doubt takes over. But if you practice self-compassion, you create an environment where resilience, confidence, and self-respect can flourish. So, how do you start? First, pay attention to your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, stop. Ask yourself, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then why say it to yourself? Second, learn from your mistakes instead of dwelling on them. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every challenge, every failure is shaping you into a stronger version of yourself. Finally, remind yourself that growth takes time. You don't become wise overnight. You don't develop resilience in a day. Progress is slow, and that's okay. As long as you're moving forward, you're on the right path. The next time you feel tempted to criticize yourself, take a deep breath and reframe it. Instead of "I should have done better," try "I'm learning and improving." Instead of "I always mess up," try "This is a setback, not a defeat." That small shift in language makes a world of difference. At the end of the day, the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, get up, and keep moving without tearing themselves down in the process. That's the real power of self-compassion. There is no finish line when it comes to growth. The moment you think you know everything, the moment you believe you've reached your peak, that's when you start to decline. Life is always moving, always changing, and those who refuse to learn, adapt, and evolve will eventually find themselves stuck, watching as the world passes them by. But mentally strong people understand something crucial. Growth is a lifelong process. There is no point at which you arrive. You keep learning, keep improving, keep refining yourself until your very last breath. The Stoics embodied this mindset. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the most powerful man in the world, never saw himself as above learning. Every day he read, wrote, and reflected, reminding himself of his own limitations and the vastness of what he didn't know. He once wrote, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, challenges, failures, and even setbacks are all opportunities to grow. But you have to be willing to learn from them. Many people think learning stops after school or after they reach a certain level of success. But the truth is, your ability to keep growing determines how far you go in life. The moment you stop challenging yourself, stop seeking new knowledge, stop stepping outside your comfort zone, that's when you start to stagnate. And stagnation for a strong mind is worse than failure, because at least failure teaches you something. Stagnation just keeps you in the same place, year after year, wondering why nothing is changing. So, how do you make lifelong learning a habit? First, develop intellectual humility. Understand that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. Seneca believed that wisdom is not in knowing all the answers, but in seeking them relentlessly. He wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." That means reading books, having deep conversations, and studying new skills, not because you have to, but because growth itself is the reward. Second, embrace failure as part of the learning process. People who are afraid of looking foolish, of making mistakes, of stepping into the unknown, they never grow. Why? Because they avoid the very experiences that teach the most. Every time you fail, every time you struggle, you gain something invaluable, wisdom. But only if you choose to see failure as a lesson rather than a defeat. Third, challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone regularly. Growth doesn't happen in routine. It happens in discomfort, in uncertainty, in the moments when you don't have all the answers. The Stoics believed that we should seek out difficult things, not because suffering is the goal, but because growth is. Epictetus taught that we should train our minds the way an athlete trains their body, through discipline, challenge, and continuous improvement. And finally, never let ego stop you from evolving. One of the biggest barriers to learning is thinking you already know enough. The wisest people never assume they have it all figured out. They ask questions. They listen more than they speak. They remain open to new perspectives, even if they challenge their existing beliefs. That's why truly strong people, mentally, emotionally, and intellectually, are always growing. At the end of the day, life rewards those who are willing to adapt. The world changes, industries evolve, people grow. If you refuse to evolve with it, you'll get left behind. But if you commit to lifelong learning, to challenging yourself, to staying curious and open, you'll never stop growing. And that, more than anything, is what keeps you strong. Life isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about becoming strong enough to face anything. The habits we've talked about today aren't just ideas. They're tools that can help you navigate challenges, master your emotions, and build the kind of mindset that nothing can break. But remember, knowledge alone isn't enough. You have to apply it every single day. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, am I embracing change or resisting it? Am I in control of my emotions or letting them control me? Am I protecting my time, taking responsibility, practicing self-compassion, and continuing to learn? Because this daily practice is what separates those who live with strength from those who crumble under life's weight.